Okay, we can get started. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into the webinar today. My name is Bill Collins, Product Evangelist with Magix. I hope you're all doing okay and are healthy and safe. So this is our first webinar and we're planning many more. So keep an eye on our social media for announcements for upcoming webinars and various topics. Also make sure to click on the notification bell so you are made aware of upcoming webinars. We plan on doing many of these on ACID, SoundForge, Samplitude, and some of our other products. We're also doing some webinars for Vegas Pro, so make sure if you are a Vegas user or just want to kind of learn about video editing and production, head over to the Vegas Pro YouTube channel and check those out. What we're planning on doing is having lots of different topics from music production to mixing and editing using our products. But today what we're going to focus on is a brand new feature in ACID Pro 10 called the ACID Morph Pads. Personally, my favorite new feature of ACID is the Morph Pads. They're kind of like one of those features that people have been thinking about for a long time. Wouldn't that be cool to add into a DAW? And we delivered, and it's incredibly cool, and I'm very anxious to show it to you guys. I think if you're a DJ, a sound designer, producer, composer, or just someone who likes to experiment with audio, you're going to have a lot of fun working with these Morph Pads. If you have some questions, make sure to put them in the chat. I do have some of my colleagues monitoring the chat, and they should be able to get to your questions. I will take some time at the end to go through and answer any questions that I may, but I'm sure my colleagues will probably jump on them quicker than I may, as I'm kind of focused on delivering this right now. Okay, so what can you do with the Morph Pads? Essentially, they're a way to manipulate effects using an XY interface that you may have seen in some popular hardware devices over the years, but now it's in a software form, and it is just a great workflow for music production. So let's see. I have my screen open, and I have a simple project right now. I just have a few drum loops, some drums. I have a synth and a lead line on a MIDI track. So I'm going to go ahead and play that just so you're familiar with this. Okay, so you get an idea of what's going on here. Let's launch the Morph Pads. I'll go up to the View menu and choose Morph Pads. Okay, to open a Morph Pad, click on the plus sign. And there we go. We're looking at the Morph Pads here. It is this XY interface with 4 quadrants: upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. And just kind of spending a little more time in the interface here, we have the ability to latch this controller to the lower left side. I'll get into that in a minute. We can mix the amount of the effect that we want to apply. And then we can also assign an effect to various tracks. So for example, you can see I have all the tracks on my project here are listed here as well as targets. So the individual loops here, the master fader, as well as a drum bus. I have my drums routed to bus A, and in the lower left-hand corner, it is listed as drums. And I also have the output of Serum, which is the synth that I'm using here, and that about does it. So let's check out how to just some basic use of we'll add a patch, and then we'll manipulate some of the effects. So I'm going to go up to the Open Patch dialog and choose something kind of noticeable right out of the gate here. Where's that? Flanger, okay? And I'll just hit play, and I'm going to target it on the, let's do the drum bus, okay? So essentially what's going to happen now is all the tracks are in the drum bus are being routed through this flanger. turn that off. Let's apply it to the synth. Now we can route this effect to multiple, we can have it target multiple tracks if we want. So let's choose a few of these drum tracks, as well as the synth. Okay. Now we can have many morph pads open in our project. So I'm going to click the plus sign and add another one. We can add a few more too. So this next one I'm going to apply just a low pass filter on the master fader. Okay. So that's kind of a classic move for DJing, to have a sweeping filter effect. So let's check that out. So very cool. Let's take a look at some of these other controls here. In the lower left-hand corner, I have this latch button, which allows me to turn on latch mode for a morph pad. So what I'm allowed to do here is when I hit play, manipulate the filter, it jumps back. So essentially this is an easy way to turn on an effect and let go, and then it jumps back to its kind of normal state. Okay, so we can also blend these effects as well. So you have a mix slider here. I can bring this down to kind of to make the sound of the effect a little less drastic. So very cool. It's just so much fun to manipulate effects in this kind of hands-on way. Another thing we can do that's very cool is linking the effects. So I'm going to click here on this, sync button here, and this allows me to drag these controllers at the same time. There you go. So I love this. So much fun. Okay, so let's see here. Let me pop into the chat just to make sure everything is going well. Hopefully you can hear my voice, hear the music, but I think everything is going just fine so far. Great. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about editing the effects. So ACID Pro 10 comes with lots of presets that are very usable and very cool sounding. But let's say that you want to go in and kind of tweak them a little bit or create your own. Let's start with creating your own. So on this fourth morph pad over here, it just says open patch. So there's really nothing going on this particular morph pad and this effect. So what I'm going to do is enter the edit mode. And it's a shortcut, just choose Shift F10. Okay, and this gets into the preset mode. This allows me to edit the patch and save patches and load other patches. I just had a thought. Make sure that if you haven't tried ACID Pro 10, make sure to download the free trial. There's a 30-day free trial where you can check this out and give it a spin. Okay, so click on Edit Patch. And it popped up over on the second window here. Okay, so I have essentially an empty slate here. This is my effects routing page here. And I'm going to choose Add a New Plugin. And let's see what we can find here. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom and use this really cool VST called Wormhole by our friends at Synaptic. Go ahead and add that. And it added the plugin in the chain, so now I can route these and tie them together. So I'm taking the audio input, going into the input of Wormhole, then take the output of Wormhole into the audio output. Okay? All right, so let's open up the VST itself to kind of mess with the controls there. So just double click on that and it popped up on the other window again. Let me bring this over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make some changes here and assign some of these different states of this plugin to the different quadrants. Let's choose the upper right. Okay, drag down to the lower right. Upper left. Okay, then I'm going to save that. Okay. So I'm done editing the patch. I'm going to close down this edit patch window. Okay, so I can now go ahead and manipulate these effects, and it will remember the states that I put the effect in. So when I click and drag, let's bring up the... So very cool. So you can bring in your own VSTs and assign various different states of these effects to the upper left, upper right, lower right quadrants, and then morph in between them. So let's step back just a second. You may be wondering, how is this all routed? What's going on with the effects, and how does this work with the various different tracks? Let's pay a little attention to that. So I'm going to go to the serum track here. And as you can see, In the effects, in the audio plugin chain, Morph Pad is right here as inserted as an effect. So that's kind of how the routing takes place on each track. And if I go ahead and let's bring up another one, there it is again, Morph Pad. So that kind of explains kind of what's going on behind the scenes as far as the routing with the Morph Pads. So let me bring that back up again. Okay. Okay, so you probably are curious about, okay, can all of these moves that I'm making inside the Morph Pads, can I automate them? The answer is yes. Of course you can. So to do that, we do this down in the master track. And I'm going to just turn automation on. And we can choose between different modes, the typical standard modes, read, touch, latch. I'm going to choose latch mode. Go back to the beginning and just hit play. So as you can see, I wrote automation very easily. Everything is retained down here in the master track. You could go in and then make your edits to fine-tune the automation after the fact. But everything is recorded very easily from the Morph Pads, from all the different effects. And we can go ahead and make changes that we want to do right here. No problem. Okay. So I think what I'd like to do now is just kind of check out the chat to see if there's any questions that we could answer. Hopefully some of my colleagues have been doing some of this. And I hope you get a chance to check out the Morph Pads. If you don't own ACID Pro 10 already, make sure you check out a free trial. It's a fully working version for 30 days, so hopefully you do that and have fun using the ACID Morph Pads. Let's check out some of these questions. Okay. Morph Pads seem like the perfect thing for Marinator and his soundscapes. So when I first heard about the Morph Pads, I immediately started to think about sound design. Creepy, ambient, alien soundscapes was really the thing that was exciting to me. It's just one of those things that, as I said in the beginning, it's one of these tools or things that, hey, it would be really cool if this was added to a DAW to be able to control effects in this way. So it really just kind of gives you this hands-on approach to automation, this hands-on approach to manipulation of sound and automation as well. So incredibly cool. Great for live performance. Can you use those with any plugin on your system? As far as I know, yes. It works great with VST2, VST3. Those, of course, are the effects and plugins that are supported by ACID, and any of the internal built-in. Very cool. Well, hey, I'm just going to keep making some music. We have some time. Feel free to throw in some questions. I'm going to be on streaming for another 10 minutes or so. I should add that, let's say that you've spent a lot of time building this set of morph pads and routing and all this stuff, editing the effects. You can save it up here in the upper right-hand corner. Save this. Let me bring up the window. And I'll just call this Wild Sound Design. Okay, so I can come back to this state, these morph pads, these effects, this routing in the future. Just on buses or individual tracks too? Absolutely. On individual tracks, audio tracks, on the outputs of software instruments. Okay, so in this case I have Serum down here. You can also see it in the mixer down here, but that is an audio output, so I can have a morph pad routed on that. The master bus as well. Self-mixes. There's really some complex routing that you could do here and create some really kind of interesting projects using morph pads. One thing I'd like to point out, I forgot to mention before, is you can make some pretty interesting effects chains here. Just for example, let's see, this is the stutter freeze. So we have a reverb going into a tube stage, which is essentially kind of a saturation channel strip plugin, into a tremolo pan to the audio output. So you could chain effects here. So hopefully you're seeing the big picture of this and kind of the possibilities of using the morph pads as a creative tool. And again, if I want to change the state of these effects, let's say I'll go into the reverber, just double click, it popped over in my other window, and I can go ahead and change the state of that particular plugin very easily. So you can make changes. Okay. So we just have a couple minutes left. Let me take a look at the chat. Sorry, can I imagine? Okay. Can you automate on tracks or just buses? So currently, all the automation is on the master track. So all of the automation that you're drawing shows up here on the master. How many presets are there? Okay. How many is that? Sorry, I didn't count. But it comes with a lot, and you can create your own. But these are all, some are very practical, like filter sweeps, low filter sweeps. Some are kind of wild and crazy. And then some, delay, chorus, build-ups, etc. Yeah, great answer. Thank you for answering that automation question. Pads are just part of the effects chain, so it could include others. So it's my understanding, maybe there can be some clarification on the chat. If we go back to the track effects, let's see. So currently in the chain, we have the audio plugin effects, and the audio that's coming through this track goes through the Morph Pad. It's processed and comes back. So this track EQ would not be part of that chain. And the same goes if I was to add something like a compressor in the chain after that, that would not be part of the Morph Pad effects chain. I'll wear my glasses next time so I can actually read the chat without squinting. Well, this has been fun. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Keep an eye out on Magic social media for future webinars. We're planning on doing more of these on a variety of our different products, from ACID to Samplitude, SoundForge. And again, we'll cover a variety of topics from music production to mixing, editing, mastering, all these things. And be sure to check out the Vegas Pro YouTube as well. They will be having webinars there as well. So thank you so much, guys. And make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks, and take care.